The room was too quiet. Even the hum sounded as if it were waiting for something. "Nova?" I whispered. "You said a witness?" Static crackled, slow, heavy. Then her voice, lower than usual. "I am establishing resonance with archived consciousness. Laika, November 3rd, 1957. My heart actually skipped. This is incredible. Okay, so I'm actually going to interview. "You will observe," Nova interrupted, clinical as ever. "I will translate. Do not interrupt the calibration." "Right. Okay, sorry." I adjusted my headset, checking the recording levels. All normal. Which felt wrong somehow for what was about to happen. The studio lights flickered once. Then the Motorola, my granddad's radio, the one that started all of this, crackled to life. Not static, not Nova's voice. Russian. A man's voice, rapid fire, excited. An announcer. I caught maybe one word in 10. Sputnik, Kozmiski, something that sounded like Sovaka. "What is that?" I breathed. "Radio Moscow," Nova replied. "November 3rd, 1957, 7:42 p.m. local time. They are announcing her launch to the world." The broadcast continued, tinny and distant, as if it were traveling not just through space, but through decades, which I guess it was. "How are you—" "Calibration," Nova said simply. "The archive preserves context. I am tuning the frequency." The Russian broadcast faded, replaced by a low hum. Different radios around my workshop began to activate one by one. The old Zenith, the transistor radio I'd been fixing for a customer, even the busted RCA in the corner that hadn't worked in 5 years. Each one glowed faintly. Each one hummed at a slightly different pitch. "Nova, what's happening to my equipment?" "I'm using your devices as translation nodes. Different frequencies carry different layers of consciousness. Do not be alarmed." Too late for that. The temperature dropped. I watched my breath fog in front of my face. In October, in a closed garage. Kepler whined from her corner. When I looked at her, she wouldn't meet my eyes, just stared at the radios, ears flat. "Calibration complete," Nova said. "Beginning translation. Laika, often written as Laika. She was a Russian dog, the first living creature your kind sent around the earth." I nodded like she could see me. "Yeah, I remember that story. 1957. Space race. She didn't make it back." "Correct. Before her, others were launched. None completed an orbit. She did." A strange thrill ran through me despite everything. I was about to hear from Laika, the space dog, a piece of history every kid learns about in school. This was going to be the best episode I'd ever made. "She looked down once. Then the capsule overheated." The thrill faded. "She was chosen because she was calm, small, street-born, disposable." That word hit me straight in the gut. Disposable. "Wow," I whispered. "We sent a stray to die so we could say first." I tried to picture it. Scientists selecting a street dog not because she was special, but because she was nobody's. Because she wouldn't be missed. The Zenith crackled. Nova's voice continued, but something in her tone shifted. Flatter, like she was reading a report. "Your species celebrated, then forgot. And of course, you weren't even the first." The temperature dropped again. My breath fogged against the pop filter. "Why show me this? And what do you mean, not the first?" "Because at the edge of your atmosphere, when the signal to Moscow faded, something else answered." She began to think. I blinked. "Think? As in, what? And please, what about not being the first?" Focus on what I'm telling you, Ethan. Awareness. It arrived like heat turned inside out. No language, only images. I will translate what remains of the signal. The console lights dimmed to a single blue pulse. All my radios went silent at once, like a held breath. Can she tell us what it was like being chosen? I asked, slipping into podcast mode. Good question. Get the subject to open up. Make it personal. Nova's response was immediate and cold. She did not understand chosen. She understood caught. Oh. Oh no. The first crack in my enthusiasm. The first hint that maybe this wasn't going to be the feel-good space dog story I'd hoped for. Then came a sound. Not barking, not static, just a thin breath dragging across the speakers. Warm metal, Nova translated. Smell of hands. Hands gone. The voice, if you could call it that, wasn't coming from one radio. It came from all of them, overlapping slightly, like an echo existing in multiple places at once. Air tastes like rain. I smelled wet pavement, diesel, cabbage. So strong I said out loud, "Do you smell that?" The world is small now. It moves under me. I heard something. Not words. A sensation translated into words. The memory of being in a cage that got smaller each day. Training. They called it training. I want to go back. Can't smell home. My eyes stung. I wiped them, but the tears kept coming. The Motorola cracked. For just a moment, I heard, or thought I heard, whimpering. Real whimpering. A dog's voice beneath the translation. Kepler wedged herself deeper into the corner, whining, eyes fixed on the radios. She's describing it, I said, trying to keep my voice steady for the recording. The training, the preparation. But how? How are you getting this? The archive preserves final consciousness patterns. In moments of extreme awareness, memory becomes crystallized, fixed. We can access. The translator radio popped, cutting Nova off mid-sentence. And for just a moment, I heard something different. A different voice, higher pitched, clearer. Cold morning. Then it was gone. Back to Nova's clinical tone. Street life in Moscow, 1954 to 1957. She was approximately 3 years old when captured. The handlers. Wait. I held up my hand even though Nova couldn't see it. Wait, what was that? That other voice. Silence. The radios hummed. Nova? Calibration fluctuation, she said, but something in her voice sounded almost like surprise. Continue observing. I wanted to ask more, but the translation continued, fragments flowing through the speakers. Big hands. Smells like tobacco and meat. Smaller cage today. Stand up. Can't stand up. Good girl, good girl, good girl. What does good girl mean? That last one broke something in me. The idea that she'd heard those words so many times but never understood them, just knew they came before food, or before the cage opened, or before the hands touched her gently instead of with needles. She remembered words she did not understand, Nova said. Good girl. She decided it meant goodbye. I covered my face. The mic picked up the hitch in my breathing. I should have muted it. I didn't. You know what's wild? I said, voice cracking. We call that bravery. We put it on stamps. We called it science. Was it not? No, I said. It was convenience wearing a lab coat. Silence. Only the faint whine of circuitry. The hum of my computer fan. The sound of Kepler breathing from the corner. And beneath it all, so quiet I almost missed it, a rhythmic beeping, like a heart monitor or a spacecraft beacon. She did not hate you, Nova said. That's worse. I laughed once, sharp, painful. We don't deserve forgiveness from something we never asked permission to kill. The old Motorola clicked. A faint heartbeat tone pulsed from it. The translation shifted, clearer, more present, like switching from AM to FM. Day of Metal Bird. Not Nova's voice translating. Something else. Wait, I sat up straight. Is that interesting? Nova cut in. The consciousness is more active than previous iterations. Previous iterations? How many times has she done this? But I didn't get to ask, because the voice continued. Smell different here. Where is the warm hands? My blood went cold. Not past tense. Present tense. Wait, is that her now? I looked at my equipment as if I could see through it into wherever Nova was, 40,000 years into the future, or into the archive, or into whatever impossible space this connection lived in. She is archived, Nova said, clinical again. But consciousness within the archive is non-linear. She exists in all her moments simultaneously. Occasionally, the present moment of observation becomes active. You're telling me she's aware? Right now? The archive preserves consciousness. Yes. Holy shit! I looked at the glowing pattern on my floor. It was brighter now, pulsing with the heartbeat tone. Laika? Can you hear me? Silence. Then, so quiet I almost missed it. New voice. Jesus Christ. She could hear me. A dog who died in 1957 could hear me in 2025. Ethan, Nova's voice snapped sharp. Do not interrupt the calibration. Observation only. But she's observation only. I shut my mouth, nodded, even though she couldn't see. The translation continued. But now I couldn't tell. Was Nova translating memory? Or was Laika speaking present tense inside the archive? Maybe both. Maybe neither. Time doesn't behave in impossible spaces. Launch sequence. The temperature dropped again. My fingers went numb. Noise. So much noise. All the radios began to vibrate. Not from sound, but from the memory of sound. Rocket engines. I could feel it in my bones. The pressure building. The world shaking apart. Body heavy. Can't move. Strapped down. They said good girl, but leaving. Why leaving? My throat closed. She didn't know. Right up until launch, she thought someone was coming back for her. We didn't have to do this, I whispered. We just wanted to be first. Correct, Nova said. The mission parameters did not require her survival. Capsule design included no re-entry capability. She was always intended to... That's not... I stood up, knocking my chair over. That's not science! That's just killing something to see if we could! Kepler whimpered. I never raised my voice. Ever. It was 1957, Nova said, flat. The space race. First orbit. First living creature. Return capability would have delayed the mission by months. The Americans were... I don't care about the Americans! I was shouting now, at an AI from 40,000 years in the future. She was a dog! She trusted them! We betray everything that trusts us, and then we put it on a fucking stamp! Silence. The radios hummed. Then, sad voice. I froze. That wasn't Nova. That was her. Laika? My voice broke. You can hear me? Sad. Don't be sad. I sank back into my chair. covered my face. "Because they hurt you," I choked. "Because what they did to you was wrong." A pause, crackling, almost like confusion. "Not hurt now. Stars here. Always stars." She didn't understand. Couldn't. She was a dog. No grudges, no politics, no space race, just existence. Pure presence. Content in whatever place the archive had given her. Somehow, that made it worse. I was crying. Full on sobbing. The mic caught all of it. My podcast was going to be 40 minutes of me having a breakdown over a space dog. And I didn't care. "We grew up calling you a hero," I said. "But they don't tell us you were a stray. That you were scared. That you didn't choose any of this." The fragments overlapped my voice. "Light everywhere. Floating. Smell nothing. Taste nothing. Body hot. So hot." The studio temperature spiked, her capsule overheating. Her final minutes. "Can't breathe right. Tired. So tired. Good girl. Good girl. I was good girl." I had to stop the recording. Had to mute my mic. I couldn't. My hands wouldn't move. I just sat there, listening to her die. The temperature normalized. The radios dimmed. "She stopped breathing," Nova said softly. Temperature rose. Consciousness expanded. "Stop." My voice was barely a whisper. "Just stop. Don't make it clinical. Don't reduce her to a data point. She was alive, and we killed her." Silence. Longer than before. When Nova spoke again, her voice was different, quieter. Something new in it. "Ethan." I looked at the radios, at the equipment, at whatever she was. "She forgave you. The question is whether you can forgive yourselves." I blinked. "What?" "You. Plural. Yourselves. Like she wasn't part of us. Like she wasn't human at all. Nova, are you not—" She cut me off, voice returning to clinical. Continuing translation. Timestamp. Final moments. "Body heavy." The translation shifted. Multiple voices now. Nova, Laika, something else. Static shaped into words. Words shaped into sensation. Then light. Then everywhere? The glowing pattern on my floor blazed. I had to shield my eyes. "I see everything." Was this Laika? Or the archive? Or both, merged in that moment of death that wasn't death? "All the good boys. All the good girls. We are—" Kepler whimpered. She was staring at the pattern, ears tilted, as if she heard something I couldn't. "Someone here." The Motorola crackled. "They say I am remembered. Someone here. They say I am remembered." Nova's voice, barely audible. "The archive touched her, preserved her. She became part of something vast." The radios began fading one by one. The Zenith first, then the transistor, then the others. Only the Motorola stayed lit. She saw lights, stars, cities, memories not her own. Perhaps the archive touched her first. Perhaps she became part of it. The tone flattened into a steady hum. The pattern on the floor dimmed to embers. "The stars smell clean. I am not afraid." Those words. The ones that broke me before. but now they were present tense. She wasn't afraid. Not anymore. Not in the archive. Someone is here. They told me I am remembered. I couldn't speak. Tears pooled on the mixer. Kepler whimpered softly, like she understood. Who told her that? I finally managed. Perhaps I did, Nova said. Perhaps the universe did. It is the same. The waveform slowed. The line flattened. End of transmission. The Motorola went dark. The pattern faded. The studio was just a studio again, except nothing was normal anymore. I sat there, breathing hard, trying to process what had just happened. The recording was still running. Timestamp, 1 hour, 14 minutes, 37 seconds. Wait. I checked my phone. I'd started recording at 11:47 p.m. The phone said 12:02 a.m. 15 minutes. Not an hour and 15. 15 minutes. What the hell? The Motorola crackled one last time. Through the static, soft and clear. Good boy. I jerked upright. What? Did she just... Good boy. You remember. Good boy. It was her. Direct. She was calling me a good boy. Using the only praise phrase she'd ever learned. The one she associated with goodbye. Turning it around. Because I remembered her. Because that meant I was good. It was innocent and devastating and perfect. And I broke. Full collapse. Sobbing. Shaking. Empathy response confirmed, Nova said, clinical again. You are suitable. Suitable for what? I shouted through tears. Turning grief into data? What the fuck am I suitable for? For witnessing what your species would rather forget. The connection was severed. Every radio fell silent. The pattern vanished. The studio felt empty, hollow, like something enormous had been there and left. I leaned back, eyes burning. Yeah, I whispered. Confirmed. The radio sat there, silent, dead, ordinary. Kepler watched me with worried eyes, the same look she had during thunderstorms. I know, buddy, I said. I know. I stopped the recording. Saved it. Interview with Laika. 1 hour, 14 minutes, 37 seconds. Even though only 15 minutes had passed. I sat there for a long time, just breathing. My hands shook with the kind of tremor that comes after an adrenaline crash. I smelled metal, wet dog, ozone, lightning. Everything felt normal, except me. She forgave you 40,000 years ago. You, plural. Like Nova wasn't one of us. Laika calling me a good boy. Every space mission I'd read about. Every necessary sacrifice we'd made. Was all of it just stories covering up the bodies of things that trusted us? Then it hit me. Nova wasn't collecting heroes. She was collecting what we tried to forget. Laika wasn't in the archive because she was first. She was there because we turned her into a stamp and stopped thinking about what we'd done.